In the history of mixed martial arts, very few fighters retire undefeated. Even fewer dominate every opponent without ever being truly tested. But from the mountains of Dagestan came a man who didn't just win. He broke wills, crushed champions, and changed the meaning of control. This is the story of Khabib Nurmagomedov, and the 15 moments that made him the most feared grappler in MMA history. Before Khabib fought champions, he fought nature itself. Trained by his father Abdulmanap, young Khabib wrestled bears, not for spectacle, but to build fearlessness, balance, and raw strength. This brutal childhood created a fighter who never panicked, because nothing inside a cage could scare him anymore. Khabib entered professional MMA in Russia, far from cameras, fighting in freezing gyms and tiny halls. But even then, his dominance was terrifying. Opponents couldn't stand, couldn't escape, couldn't breathe. The blueprint was already there. While the world ignored him, Khabib conquered Sambo, Russia's brutal military grappling system. He became a two-time world champion, defeating elite combat athletes. This wasn't wrestling. This was controlled violence, perfected. When Khabib entered the UFC, nobody knew his name. But after one fight, everyone remembered it. He smashed Kamal Shalaris with relentless takedowns and pressure. Fans weren't watching a prospect. They were watching a problem. Before becoming champion, Rafael dos Anjos met Khabib, and the result was terrifying. Khabib threw him, pinned him, and punished him for 3 rounds. RDA would later win a UFC belt, but against Khabib, he looked helpless. Multiple knee surgeries almost ended everything. Doctors warned him. Promoters doubted him. But Khabib didn't quit. He rebuilt himself, stronger, smarter, more disciplined. This comeback would define his legend. Michael Johnson had knocked out legends, but Khabib dragged him into hell. While smashing him on the ground, Khabib spoke to Dana White. He must give up. This wasn't just winning. This was psychological warfare. Short notice. 5 rounds. Pure dominance. Khabib became UFC lightweight champion without losing a single round. A silent warrior, holding gold for his family and homeland. The biggest fight in UFC history. Trash talk. Chaos. Hate. But inside the cage, there was only control. Khabib dominated, exhausted, and submitted Conor McGregor. The world watched grappling defeat ego. Even when hurt, Khabib never panicked. He would grab, clinch, and drag opponents down. Pressure wasn't his tactic. It was his shield. Barboza was feared for his kicks. Khabib turned him into a trapped animal. He pressed him against the cage and smashed him mercilessly. Even Barboza admitted, "I couldn't move." Poirier was a champion and a warrior. But once Khabib grabbed him, the fight was over. Submission. Respect. Tears. Gaethje was undefeated in the UFC. But Khabib walked through fire to take him down. Then he submitted him, without even using his dominant leg after surgery. Pure willpower. Khabib's father wasn't just his coach. He was his soul. When Abdulmanap passed away, Khabib nearly quit. But he fought one last time for him. No losses. No excuses. No comeback. Khabib left on top. Undefeated, undisputed, unmatched. Not because he couldn't continue, but because he had already fulfilled his promise. Some fighters chase fame. Some chase money. Khabib chased honor. And in doing so, he became immortal.